So as usual, for a start, we're doing some housekeeping works around multiple fronts. This is families in, just mopping up these Xenons that appear out of nowhere, and there we can see a K is coming through, and we are going to get a little worried that we might have to take control of the helm. And here it goes. Before the NPC actually takes control of it, there's nothing I can do. It doesn't a bit of a UI bug there. Back to the map screen, and just looking at it, it doesn't look like its intended target is any of my fleets down here, so it'll be too slow to intercept it anyway. We'll just let it go pass through. And here we've got a bit of an issue. Just looking at the ships, they are not moving at all, so which means they got stuck on the docking command, and we got to try to solve it. So that's a very common glitch in X4. Basically, as you can see now, they are not moving at all, and so if some enemies come through right now, my ships will be sitting ducks. So let's see, let's go and toggle the launched and docked, and now we can see that they started to do the docking procedure. So yeah, a little bit of a glitch when the NPC pilot takes over after you leave the helm. And that's something very common in X4. That K hasn't actually gone through the gate yet. It usually goes through and turn around from the back before it passes through the gate. Somewhere I read, I don't remember, it's in-game encyclopedia or somewhere in the forums, it's that most of these ships, they are designed and supposedly to pass through the gate from behind, because otherwise they'll bump into things that might just come from the other side. Alright, so looking at our shipyard just earlier, it's all set, and we just need to make sure we get the right proportion of goods for their storage allocation. Alright, so after setting up the wharf, not the shipyard, the wharf, basically everything's going pretty stagnant. We're just waiting for the storage to fill up in Second Contact wharf before we assign a ship trader and start our campaign of assisting the HWT to get back on its foot. And so just looking around while that's happening, while the restocking is happening, we find ourselves teleporting into Hewa's Twin 1 again, and by the look of it, there's a lot of Xenons at the trade station. The small SMM ships, but as expected, they haven't been initialized, and most of them were sitting there just getting shot at, or still haven't been shooting at all. And right now, a Paranid destroyer, Odysseus destroyer, is patrolling here and taking on the Xenons. Again, just want to say that my goal is to have the Xenons taking more aggressive stance so we can fight against them. We have some fights to go on as the game plays out. But right now, the Teladi and the Paranid, the God Realm of Paranids, are in quite a good position that they can pump out destroyers at a quicker pace than the Xenons destroy them. So and that's why I want to that's why I would like to help the HOP to reclaim their lost land and bring a bit of balance, and therefore try to dictate the fight. But before that happens, well, let's just see if we can help the Xenon by just going in sector and hopefully watch them defend or attack the local forces from the other factions. Unfortunately, these there are just too many of they've been doing good to take out some of its small and medium-sized escort, but however, when it comes to the destroyers, they weren't able to focus their fire on any single one of them, and besides there are quite a bit of them en route to the trading station for its defense. So ended up the Xenons just don't have enough firepower to drive back my allies. Well, technically my trading allies, which is a little bit disappointing. And most of this session would really just turn around on that. I'm trying to seize on the opportunity that if anyone of those destroyers happen to be caught alone, out of formation, with its fleet, maybe it'll get swarmed by the Xenons, but it didn't happen. And instead of the Xenons trying to swarm in the Teladi or the Paranid forces, it turned the other way around, that the Xenons look like they've been swarmed slowly and gradually, and by ships that outsize their class. So that was kind of a little bit of a disappointment, because even trying to even when they had the advantage, they did not seize the opportunity. It's the AI, so you can't really say about anything that that would even make them smart in X4. That will probably never happen, at least from what I know about the development plans. I mean, there are going to be a new DLC coming out next year, which is the Cradle of Humanity, where they reintroduce the Terran forces faction. But again, that was just another faction that will be introduced, and hopefully not like the Split Vendetta, where they introduced the Split and then they completely sort of broke the balance in terms of ships. And now everyone's just going bragging about how good their rattlesnakes are, and everyone's it's almost like there's only one doctrine of fleets, a little bit like EVE Online, where you just go and min-max everything out, and it sort of went to the point of from interesting to become rather dull. And I for one, I'm not going for something that, like, you know, an overpowered ship that simply just take over the universe because it's overpowered. I would like to see some sort of balance. So after this playthrough, if I get to complete it anytime in the near future, my plan is to start using some of the balancing overhaul mods. In this case, when we're discussing about is the VRO mod. I think that's the variety and rebalance overhaul, something variety and something overhaul, which changed the mechanics of some of the ships. And I remember reading that they also the author also recommended to remove the superhighways for that it works better with their overhaul balance about the ship speed and everything. So no, I never tried it, but I am intended to give it a go. Given, you know, anytime in the future that it's still compatible with it's still being developed and compatible with the future releases and the DLC releases, then yeah, and we'll see, you know, hopefully we will have some different kind of experience to go with X4 Foundations, just using the same engine but just different parameters. So as we can see, the Xenons are not being successful here, and there are now about 10 destroyers down here. We're talking about probably 3 small ships per 1 destroyer, and given the AI, the way the AI works, they are not going to be able to take them out at all. And so here we see that the Xenons are getting dispersed, and for this round they definitely didn't make it. So we turn our focus into Matrix 451, where the good thing about that is the Xenons aren't actually able to stop the Telares, at least with their current situation. Oh no, here we go. We've got a Xenon K engaging our 2 carrier groups in Family Zing. Again, it's a bit too late to go into in-sector to intercept it, so we just let our defense fleet do the off-sector job in order to take it out. That is not anything difficult at all. They can easily tank the K with their sheer numbers. So what I've got set in here now is that to have the two to have the two carriers sitting close together, so within, let's say, within 10 kilometers of each other, and one with subordinates set in intercept and one with them set in defense, so that in the likelihood of off-sector K or I encounters, the one with the defense fleet will launch the ships and to help the capital ships survive by sharing the damage, so they will not have problem tanking the incoming damage of the graviton turrets, as we found out in the previous session that just with 35 fighters, Perseus in my case, one carrier with 35 fighters can indeed tank the damage output of an eye, of a Xenon eye, without issues. So, which is pretty much assuring that we are unlikely to lose our fleet if we just got the settings adequately set with their engagement rules and behaviors. Alright, so still in HWT1, and the Xenons are starting to lose the battle here. That they even have troubles taking on the escort from these destroyers. So that's about when I decided to give it up on this final group of Xenons that's still struggling around the trade station in HWT1. And I'm just gonna look at this K here. It's now down to only about 60% hull, and there we go, it's gone. So it's pretty straightforward now. We can just face tank anything with that kind of setup. So let's go and have a look in in Matrix 451. It looks like the K is winning the fight so far against the small Telari defense fleet here, probably due to the fallen families being around to distract the Telaris on the northeast side of the gate of the sector, and so the Xenons were able to push a little bit further
system. Matrix number 451
into the sector. However, let's take our views to the Xenon K, and here we see that the K actually has some of its turrets taken out already. It's actually been taking a pretty heavy damage in terms of its surface elements. The only good thing right now is that it just lost another P, I think. The only thing is that the other turrets on between the engines and on its left hand side has managed to survive. So it should be able to take out this Phoenix.
Any loose animals will be vaporized on
So
site.
got 15% hull left. However, given the case, yep, there we go, the Phoenix is done. So however, even given the K has destroyed the enemy destroyer here, it started to show that it's somehow lacking the firepower to deal with these small size ships. The Gravitons hardly make a shot, and the medium impulse turrets somehow, unless they've been taken out, which is unlikely that all of them been taken out, so it would have been more like a glitch. Right, so its Gravitons been taken out without fighting back much, probably not even destroying any Teladi fighters. So given the state here, we can see is that Decay is not going to get any help in sector anymore against the Teladi fighters. So
Security would like to remind all visitors to keep their children with them at all times.
Trying to keep it alive a bit longer, because its shield is starting to break, is to again shift out of sector and hopefully to see it eventually pans out to have an advantage. Unfortunately that didn't happen, and it's overwhelmed. Eventually it got destroyed by the local Teladi fleet in Matrix 451. Right, and here we go. While we're busy over there and other sectors, we've got a pirate encounter in Second Contact Flashpoint, and as usual, the gameplay in Second Contact Flashpoint is always extremely choppy. That is even considering not having so much factories here. It still is one of the most let's say the underperforming sectors in terms of computer processing speed. So yeah, this sector always have a problem with smooth frame rates. It just can't. It just got too many things going on here, and it is unable. No, none of my computers were able to handle this area once I started having my things built up, my stations and fleets built up. Like I said, I've mentioned before that it's I suspect that it's because of the sheer amount of asteroids here in the sector.
Unknown object.
And completely all sort of concentrated between the 5 gates and acceleration gates, that's sort of encircling the resource fields.
Entering system. Heroic's demise.
So going to Thuruk's demise, we decided to go through, we have to actually manually go through the superhighways if the location on the other end has not been discovered, and if it's a dead end system, or if we have discovered any further systems beyond the ones like the ship is designated to take the route. So here we are in Thuruk's demise first impact, and we're just here to set a explore command in order to hopefully get some more market data so our trade fleet can build up our reputation with the free families, and in this case right. So other than that, back to Hewa's twins and another group of Xenon S&M ships has attempted to break through again, while the Teladi fleet withdraws. We were again hoping the Xenons had a chance to see if they can have a go at the defeating the local defense fleets. However, the first thing I realized that when I teleport back in the sector is that a lot of the Xenon ships are not even moving, and again that's attribute to how X4 is coded. Even so, that was pretty annoying until I switched the camera several times to get the Xenons to start shooting again. So however, the Xenons did not seize any of the advantage, and once again it failed to repel or trying to push in and take advantage of their numbers against Teladis when they had the chance. This session pretty much ended up in a stalemate again, and all we did is mostly housekeeping, and we did set up factories and things in both Black Hole Sun and Getsufune sectors, just to expand our influence, while gradually waiting for our wharf to fill up to stock up, which the next session is when I expect that I can induce some artificial fights between the AI factions, which is the HOP and the Argon Antigone in this case. Alright, so this is pretty much for the session, and not very eventful. Alright, so a bit of a disappointment that there's not much of a big fights or changes in the political landscapes in the X universe in this session. However, we hope that will change in the next session or two, when we start selling the HOP with we'll start selling the HOP ships without much better supply shipyard and wharves, both in the Void sector and Second Contact Flashpoint sector. Then that's when we can see more pews and more fireworks. Hopefully they'll be able to push back the mighty Argon and Antigone fleets that has been patrolling the Second Contact sector. So until then, bye for now. We'll see you again next time. Feel free to subscribe or follow me, leave a comment, and thank you for watching.